Hey guys, Juliet here, and I just want to ask you, are you ready to be whisked away to the space western sci-fi setting among the dunes of an eternal wasteland? Does the prospect of catastrophic weapons, endless riches, and loot call your name? And would you like a deranged robot to come along with you for the ride?
Protect me, Squire!
Well, if any of this piqued your interest, then the next stop for you is the godforsaken planet of Pandora in the first-person shooter world of Borderlands 2. Like many of you, I was intrigued by the game's provocative crossover of Last Frontier meets Alien Psycho, and found myself dying to try the game out. So here's my first impression of this thrilling shoot and loot installment in the Borderlands franchise. So starting off, the game exposes us to the desolate wilderness of Pandora with a short animated intro. With admittedly stunning graphics that provide a unique, yet gritty feel to the gameplay, I was already hooked without even ever taking a step in the game. I also enjoyed the director's choice to start the game off with a short animated intro. I felt like this provided a great overview of the world that I would begin to play and rallied my excitement for when I would finally get to explore it. It also gave us an intro to the potential characters we would play. In total, there are 6 playable characters in the game, with each one possessing a unique skill set to help you in your quest to find the vaults scattered around this wasteland. I'll let this intro say a little more about our main characters.
The call of danger and loot is not so easily resisted. Certain warriors came to Pandora in droves to uncover its hidden secrets. Some would call them adventurers. Others call them fools. But I call them Vault Hunters. Our story begins with them, and with a man named Handsome Jack.
Now it's time to choose our character. The game includes short descriptions of each character that give clues into their playstyle, such as Mercenary, Longshot, or Necromancer. One thing I enjoy about this is that it does allow for some customization of playtype. Killers will especially enjoy this feature the most, as it will ultimately allow players to choose directly how they will interact with enemies.
Bigger guns, like that, like that. Little girl plus robo-wrecking ball. Giggly good times. Unfortunately, this doesn't really inform me about her combat style. Not sure about the giggles, but... we got aggressive. Well, as a relatively new person to, I think, these sorts of loot and shoot kind of games, I'm not sure if I would be the aggressive combat style person.
On the other hand, I was disappointed by the descriptions of each character, as I felt like the game could have given more than 2 sentences to describe the potential playstyle of them, especially since we would be stuck with these characters for the rest of the game. Overall, I found this to be a cool feature of the game that I could see would enable players to make multiple runs throughout the games without ever getting bored. Now, after our character selection phase, we are finally allowed to begin roaming around this planet, and we are introduced to the glue that keeps us all mad around this planet, your new companion, Claptrap.
Hey there, little fella. R2-D2 2.0.
Wait a minute! You're not dead!
Not yet!
Now I can get off this glacier! Claptrap, your metaphorical ship has finally come in! Allow me to introduce myself. I am a CL4P TP steward bot, but my friends call me Claptrap. Or they would if any of them were still alive. That existed in the first place.
So in my opinion, it's only fair that the desolate, space cowboy-themed game would include the wildest of characters in its final frontier. I think it's a really unique idea to create such a belligerent sidekick for your gameplay. It creates this wild dichotomy of imminent danger and is my life really a joke to everyone sort of feel, and it's not usually a take that most games take. We then get to explore Pandora a bit before we are thrown into our narrative. From a first impression, explorers will fall in love with the stunning graphics of the game. Like I said before, the game takes a grungy anime style that complements the rough and rowdy world we inhabit. Explorers will also later in the game see just how expansive the map is, which will allow for hours of carefree roaming. Now killers and achievers, listen up, because I now want to talk about the meat and potatoes of this game: looting and shooting. The game wastes no time in throwing us into battle and introducing us to some of the outrageous and crazy enemies we face in the game. Overall, I really enjoyed the diverse characters I faced off within just my first hour of playing. The game does an excellent job at keeping characters and players interested by giving each boss his own arena and special skills for fighting, which really made every battle challenging. I think this happy medium of complex arenas and challenging bosses could put a player into the flow state, as players could spend hours making their way through new parts of the map while fighting strategically or risk having to restart. Which is unfortunately something I had to learn the hard way. Ultimately, regular loot and shoot players will thrive in this environment, while beginners, be prepared to restart boss rounds a couple of times. Unfortunately, within my first 2 hours of playing, I did not meet the one and only antagonist, Handsome Jack, in the game, but I think he provides a compelling story arc and is someone I felt motivated me to keep playing, as I felt like I was getting closer to meet the one and only Handsome Devil himself with every mission. Socializers might find this lack of interaction disappointing, but I'm sure that the amount of interactions with the other wild characters are sure to keep them entertained.
Jack here, president of Hyperion. Let me explain how things work here. Vault Hunters show up, Vault Hunter looks for the new vault, Vault Hunter gets killed by me. You see the problem here? You're still alive. So if you could just do me a favor and off yourself, that'd be great. Thanks, Pumpkin.
Now when the day comes for me to fight Handsome Jack, I will be prepared because of the absolutely massive amounts of loot on this planet. Like seriously guys, around every single crevice, rock, even toilet, there is goods in the forms of rare guns, cash, or shields that will assist you in your gameplay. This game is an achiever's paradise, as the game offers hundreds of unique and interesting weapons for you to battle with. It's literally almost overwhelming how much loot there is. But it did make it so that I was excited to explore after every battle, and I felt that I needed to keep going, lest that rare gun be at the next site.
Ooh. What do we got? Oh, cash. Cha-ching, and I think another gun. Oh, cash on the table. Ooh-wee, I will take it.
Another interesting aspect about weapons is their unique abilities. Every weapon has its own strengths and weaknesses, such as high stability or high damage. Some guns even have abilities such as launching fire or acid, which make them especially useful against certain enemies. Unfortunately, in the beginning, your weapon selection is limited, but loot is offered so quickly into the game for beginners that it's not a challenge.
Whee! It's the gun, I swear to God. I
cannot see, I'm legally blind.
Alright, okay. Okay, maybe.
The game also rewards players who spend their time exploring their surroundings. Players who do so have a higher chance to find even more rare loot items. Like, look at this. A normal player would have possibly missed this. Just a rare chest chilling off a cliff. But I spent a lot of time looking around this area and I saw it before I left. Overall, this just tells me the time and effort creators put into making this game so that players of all kinds would have a truly enjoyable experience for over hundreds of hours. Alright, so here are my biggest takeaways from the game. In terms of flow, ultimately, explorers, killers, and achievers will find that this game provides an addictive and constant gameplay. I felt that the unlimited amount of loot and open world aspect of the game allowed these types of users to choose their own adventure without feeling like they were lost. In addition, the possibility to level up and learn new skills or increase health would be highly addictive for these kinds of players.
Kachiga. Ooh! Woo! Oh!
That was legitness.
Sniped! Man, that was...
The one downside to the game that I see is that sometimes there was too much loot. Sometimes it took me so long to get through an area on the map because I couldn't stand the thought of leaving a rare gun behind. For many, this may be a state of flow, but for me personally, I feel like sometimes it took me out of flow because I was consciously aware of the loot I was leaving behind or aware of how much I was searching for it. And ultimately, for you socializers out there is something for you too. I believe that you will enjoy the wacky and often threatening characters you encounter as a Vault Hunter. The dialogue is rich, and you will never quite know what to expect with every conversation. Who would have thought that being Claptrap's squire and personal slave would be so entertaining?
Let's go this way!
I feel like you're like the wrong person to follow because every time I follow you, something awful happens. Some terrible.
Protect me, Squire!
See,
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
this is what I meant. Oh, okay.
I want to bleed and cry.
In addition, although I didn't get a chance to try it out, there is a multiplayer mode which would allow you to take on Borderlands with all your friends. So you can take on Captain Flint, Handsome Jack, or any of the other crazy enemies living on Pandora. So, what do you think? If after all the craziness, all the gunslinging, all the looting and violence, and after all the claptrap, you still want to give it a go as a Vault Hunter, then I think it's about time all aboard the next train to Pandora in Borderlands 2. Thanks for watching.